Hello, I'm Philip Brunelle, Artistic Director and founder of Vocal Lessons and organist, choirmaster at Plymouth Congregational Church in Minneapolis. So each day I have selected a different composer, and in each case the composer has had some role to play with both organizations. And in the case of today, these are unique moments. The composer is Hector Berlioz. Born in 1803, died in 1869. People said of him, there is no model among his predecessors. And he was regarded at the time as being bizarre and his music being discordant. Indeed, he demanded a lot of his performers, and he wrote these huge pieces, some of which were never performed in his lifetime because they were just too vast to be able to do it, such as his big opera, The Trojans, in 5 acts, which lasted more than 5 hours, and which has only recently become into vogue. The Metropolitan Opera finally got around to it. His most famous work is the Symphonie Fantastique, but he also composed a treatise on instrumentation, which was a very important guide for composers in the last century and this century. It still is. In 1849, he wrote a Te Deum, and this Te Deum I have performed twice with Vocal Lessons at the St. Paul Cathedral, because you need a space of that magnitude where more than 2,000 people can be. When he composed it in 1849, it was performed at this grand cathedral in Paris, Saint-Eustache. It had 900 performers. Now, we didn't do it with 900. We did it with more like about 300 performers at the cathedral. It's a massive orchestra with 4 flutes, 4 oboes, 4 clarinets, 4 bassoons, 4 French horns, 4 trumpets, 6 trombones, 2 tubas, timpani, 6 snare drums, strings, and organ. And then 12 harps. Well, if I was going to do this piece, obviously we were going to do it with 12 harps. And the first time I did it, I called Francis Miller, who was the professor of harp at the University of Minnesota for many years, and I said, Francis, we need 12 harps, to which she said, only 12? So needless to say, we got 12 harps. We actually had 13 because another person begged to be part of it. And so he wrote this piece, this Te Deum, and there is a movement that comes at the very end, a march for the presentation of the colors, and that's where the harps come in. I thought, we can't have these harps just come for one moment. So we played that presentation at the beginning, before the Te Deum, and repeated it at the end. So what you'll hear now is this opening part. You have to imagine this massive orchestra, and then halfway through, all of a sudden, you'll begin to hear this kind of figure. And that's where 12 harps, 13 actually, in unison give you their part added to it. They were stretched across the front of the cathedral, and many people said afterward, I thought I had died and gone to heaven. Music of Berlioz. So you get the idea what 900 people might have sounded like singing and playing the music of Berlioz and his Te Deum. He also composed in 1854 a piece called L'Enfance du Christ, the childhood of Christ. It was a piece that was to depict the Holy Family's flight into Egypt. It was in 3 sections. He composed the middle part first, which is the part that most people know, and then he wrote an ending and a first part, the first part being about Herod and his decrees. But this middle part was called The Shepherd's Farewell. As I mentioned earlier, people particularly the music people in Paris at the time of Berlioz, didn't think a lot about his music, thinking it bizarre and discordant. So when he wrote this little piece, he didn't put his name on it. He put the name of a man named Ducret, which was a made-up name. And everyone, when they heard it, said, "Oh, that is so beautiful. It's too bad Berlioz couldn't compose something like that." And then later, of course, they found out that indeed he had composed this. So this is the end of that little section. It's the Shepherd's Farewell, which is a beautiful choral piece. And then it leads into an orchestral interlude, sort of the travel of the Holy Family going to Egypt. Have a wonderful day.